Hassan, would you or Wasim could please pin it? Okay. Wasim, I wanted to know how was the exam? Let's start from today. How was the exam? How did you manage time? How was the entire journey for you?
Okay, so first of all, the exam was a bit, you can say, probably I was expecting a more easier exam, but the exam was kind of a bit tough. So, thankfully, in overall the process of our preparation, we went through some difficult scenarios as well. So, um, but then, like I said, I mean, the exam was a bit tough. And if you are talking about time management, I wasn't really good at the time management per se. I had to then make time for the last end of the exam, the last 60 questions, because the first 260 question portion was I was unable to manage the time, like 80 minutes for the first 60 and the 75 or 70 minutes for the second 60. But then again, some of the techniques that we learned during the course, that if you get into that situation, what you can do, for example, read the last line, look at the options, and have that servant leader mentality in your mind. Um, so yeah, probably that helped. But that breathing exercise, obviously, that also helped me during the breaks. I didn't took the whole 10 minutes break for in both the breaks, but still they were helpful. Because to be honest, in the last section, I was like, okay, if I couldn't make it, oh, what should I do? So I used the breathing exercise in that
So
break
last
to
section,
calm.
you were so confused that if I don't clear, okay.
Yeah,
That is
so I calmed myself down, did the breathing exercise, and I said, okay, I need to do that technique of read the last line, skim the questions, and then just select the option. So yeah, alhamdulillah, all good at the end.
okay. Like, what was the difficult thing in the exam? That even because yesterday when we had call, I told you that exam will be difficult and your scores were very beautiful. So what led you to think that way?
Yeah, so I think one contributing factor was the time management. I mean, you should really focus on getting that practice of solving the questions within that time frame of what you have advised. That was one factor, since I wasn't doing good, and I was hoping that I'll be able to make it up in the second section and then the third, which eventually I had to do it. But and the second thing which put me off was some of the keywords that in most of the exams that we are attempting in the mock exams, we are looking for those keywords. Those were not there. For example, if you want to do a meeting with a stakeholder, the word meeting won't be there in the line. So you have to, uh, for example, you will look for another word, like for example, discuss with that stakeholder. So, I mean, the discussion could be from a meeting, from a phone call, or any other source. But things like that that put me off, and then I had to, do the again elimination technique, that what the other options are doing. For example, if the ask of the question is to assess the situation, then you really need to focus that, okay, what's the line which is closely related to the assessment of a situation. So things like that.
Mm. Thank you. Thank you very much for that. Guys, I want you to directly ask him questions. He cleared exam and his first, when I just called him, his first point was that exam was not easy. So that is an interesting thing. Let me, Wasim, take you back. How many 180 mocks you did on simulator?
On simulator, I did, I guess, the first six ones, and yeah, I guess six or seven, because I did the Udemy ones as well. So including both of those, more than six,
More than six. And
more
random?
than six.
And random?
Oh yeah, random were a lot. Random, I did like 9 or 10, and then the overall mocks, all the six overall mocks. So yeah,
mm.
So yeah,
Still, because this is a very interesting thing, and I want to understand this thing. Okay, you cleared the exam, and I'm sure you would be with all above target, but I am unable to digest this timing thing. Right? We had a
yeah.
formula 75, 75. So what was the problem there that we had on this timing thing? Because I always say exam consists of three parts. First,
Yeah,
content, second, flow, and third is time management. So
yeah.
you cleared the exam. And how was the time management? 80, 75, 75. You eventually did, or how you did it?
Yeah, so like I was saying that probably I've completed the first 60 questions in 95 minutes.
Hmm.
So I went way above. And then the next one also, because the last section I had was only 45 minutes. So you can calculate the last section with 45 minutes left. The first section I remember on the time it was like 90 plus minutes. So I was being cautious at the beginning. That's why I was taking time to, and like I said, I mean, I was put off with those different words that probably I was getting used to it. Like, for example, if I'm looking at something to assess, I will find the word assess, but something like that.
Hmm.
So be very careful. Whatever the situation is, I mean, you need to do practice the time management. That's a very key thing, and that process of elimination is also key because that helped me in the last section. Just read the last line, skim the answers, and that stakeholder mentality. So,
Hmm. Okay, okay.
sorry,
Seven
the
leadership mentality.
servant leader
The
mentality. Yeah, yeah,
last line I said you, seven leadership mental last night,
yeah,
seven leadership mentality, agile mindset, 80, 75, 75. That was the last line. But that
yeah,
I'm happy that you are able to cross the line. But this is a very dangerous thing for everybody who is doing. Please follow the formula of 80, 75, 75. No matter what, we need to look into that. Maybe I would say that's my mistake. I was so confident on your scores that I did not push that thing that much, but it could have been a disaster with 45 minutes remaining in the last 60 question. This
yeah.
means if your math is okay, I guess, guys, it's 50 seconds per question, almost 50 or
Maybe less than like
uh,
45 minutes, 45 seconds. Yeah, 45 seconds.
45
So,
to
so
50 seconds per question. So very, very dangerous. Okay, let's talk about why this happened. What was the length of the question more apart from the
yeah,
wording? You got it. I got that
yeah,
point.
yeah.
Apart from meeting that, was the length of the question more? How was that?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. The length of the questions were 4 or 5 lines more than that. Even one of the question that I got in the last section of the 60 section was like a full page paragraph. That was the single calculation question that I had. Immediately knew that that's a PERT calculation. I
The
didn't waste
same,
my time in.
the same as we did in PMP marathon.
Yeah, yeah. So I just look at the question. It was so big. I thought, I mean, I don't want to waste my time. It would take me definitely 2 minutes to even pick up the values and do the analysis and everything. So,
Hmm.
anyways, uh, they were I would say,
Please mute Bhaskar. Bhaskar, please mute yourself. Bhaskar, please. Yeah. Okay,
yeah,
please. Yeah, continue.
yeah. So I would say that more than one third of the questions were more than 4 lines, and you can imagine that 3 or 4 lines means on that big screen
Hmm.
would take you at least a minute to read through the question.
Hmm. What was the
So
first? What was the first thing when you called? When we talked, what was the first thing I said to you? He said to me, "The exam was very hard." I said, "That's very good."
yeah. Uh,
That's very good.
uh,
Yeah.
to be honest, I mean, I went there a bit overconfident.
Over,
I
overconfident.
Yeah, yeah,
That's good.
overconfident.
That's really good because the last four, since you passed, because the last 4 5 students gave the feedback. Exam is easy. Exam is easy. These guys are
Exactly.
taking. These guys are taking. Everybody is getting relaxed, like Munawwar, relaxing and solving the question in that way. So you get too easy into that. With your reality check, that is important thing. That it gives you a insight. Okay, exam can be anything at any day, and that's what I love about PMP. It can be anything anyway.
I
Naveed,
was looking at the last video you shared and that Muhammad Ali punch you mentioned. So I
yeah,
was getting those punches.
yeah, you were getting those punches, and now since you cleared the exam, I'm happy with that punches being put on you. Otherwise, would have been a different conversation here. Okay,
Yeah.
okay. Let's talk about what Naveed asked. A very beautiful question. Which topic you think? Which topic do you think you could polish more if you could?
Yeah, definitely the predictive life cycle model because probably a good section of 20 25 questions were from that model. Agile mindset was there, but later in the exam, and I was obviously more confident on those ones. But the predictive life cycle project had a lot of questions talking about the initial phase of the project, for example, before the the business plan, the project charter, and business case, and all those. So they were also there, and those were all lengthy questions. They made it. They made you read through the question. For example, I had to read multiple times to see what they are really asking for, because in the
Mm,
option it, sometimes I do get that, okay, it's not like uh, two options remaining to choose. There were three options remaining to choose. One was a deflector. I got it, but again, then you have to pick up a very minute detailed word from the remaining answers, that okay, which one is related. So anyways, in the end, I'm all saying be very careful on those keywords.
Okay, that's beautiful. That's really beautiful. How many drag and drops were there?
Four or five drag and drops, and only, like I said, one calculative with calculation, but four drag and drops,
Four
four or
drag
five.
and drop.
Yeah.
Four or five drag and drop questions. Okay. Okay, let's walk a little bit further into that. Since now this is an interesting thing, I had this same feeling, like I'm gonna fail in the exam, in RMP exam when I did long back. I never had that feeling in PMP when I had that feeling because from the training where I took it, I never had that Monte Carlo analysis question, and I had 15 questions straightforward, tuck, 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 with a big graph, and I have to solve. Like, you just imagine you have never heard about Bundam chart and you have a question, 15 question to put into that. I took a break, I relaxed it, and I said it to myself, it is what it is, let's do that. So how did you compose yourself? And this is very critical, because this is very rare for my students. This is very critical. How did you compose yourself for the last time? You have 60 question, 45 minute. You have Muhammad Ali punch for last 120 question. What did you do?
Yeah. The breathing exercise. First of all, calm yourself down. That exercise, obviously, and the technique of skimming through the question, reading the last line first, have that mentality ready, and boom, boom, boom. Every the question I had to, don't waste your time more on those.
You have
So
to you have to go back to the basics. You have to go
yeah,
to
yeah,
that.
yeah, definitely, yeah. Otherwise, it was a very panicky situation. Obviously, it could be only with me, but if someone else gets into that situation, that breathing exercise do help.
Breathing exercise do help, and breathing is a very beautiful exercise without any doubt. I never invented it. I am just using somebody else's tool. The project manager, that's what you should do. Use other people tool. You don't have to invent every single thing. Guys, anyone has any question, you can raise your hand, and this is an important time to ask the question because it's a different journey. Sir, isn't the time visible? No, timer is visible. Like on the
Yeah,
left
time
side
will.
of the screen, you see the timer is there. Okay, the timer is continuously just
So
like.
yeah, on
Yeah.
my screen, on the right side where the examination center I was, it was on the right top, and obviously the questions were obviously as I was solving, and the timer was going backwards, like from 230 minutes backwards. So um, I put that on my sheet as well once started the exam, that okay, 80 minutes for the first 60, but that never helped me. I crossed that limit way beyond that. So, anyways,
Mm. Okay, okay. That's awesome. That's awesome. Okay. We can't hear you. My voice is audible, etc. Can we take break? And no, we cannot take break.
No.
Exam is 80, 75, 70. Exam is 60, 60 this way. After 60 question, you can take 10-minute break. But you can take
Yeah.
a break. Even now, let me add it. You can take a break if there's an emergency. You have to go to washroom. Somebody is vomiting. Like I still remember. Now this is a very interesting. Why I made this final day video and why breathing exercise. This is a secret. I don't know. I have said that on a recorded. When I gave my PMP exam, like every single exam, how I have booked it myself. I don't allow my students to do it, but I have done it. I see the date and to the next day I book the exam. I did a mock and it used to be 200 questions. I did that. I selected the date for next day. It was 4 p.m. when I selected the date. At 5 p.m., my brother is a doctor. He said, you can have this medicine and sleep. I said, no, I will sleep because sleep has never been a problem for me. At 2 a.m., I called my brother again. He was sleeping. Give me that medicine. Then he gave me the half portion of that medicine. I slept only 1.5 hours for my exam. Even that medicine could not work. Like when I gave my
Mm.
PMP exam, there was no breaks. 200 questions and 4 hours. And all other exam. I never had, apart from CAPM exam, which I gave last year, my exam never had a break. So if you want to go a break, you can actually ask the proctor that raise your hand and you can go into that break. But your time will be wasted. This 10 minutes break, when you give exam in the center, it is like without you. For you, the time has no wasted. But if you are giving exam at home, like in front of your screen, you cannot take a break. Even if there is a thing, I have never heard anyone took a break. Okay. Name of the medicine. I don't know, yaar. He gave me medicine, half of it, even in the light. I don't remember. But it did not work, I know. When you say questions are difficult, that does that mean questions are asked by clubbing multiple topics or asked in a different way? In which way we did not solve the practice? Like what Wasim what is asking Prakash, if you can share with that.
Yeah, so I guess the thing that I was telling earlier as well, that in our practice mock exams, sometimes I was in the habit of checking that keyword, which is consistent in all the mock exam. That, for example, if you want to do analysis first, the word analyze would be there. If you want to meet someone, the word meeting would be there. And also in different questions, the length of the question and the scenario would put you to read it carefully. So that made it difficult. Otherwise, the single line question would be easy, obviously, because it's a single line. You can read it like in 10, 15 seconds. But the multiple line questions would have a scenario where you have to read through. And to be honest, I did changed my answers. At first I was looking at that, okay, I need to select this one, but then I had to reread, and that happened only in the first section because that's where I spend most of the time. So the complexity is not that they're mixing topics, the complexity is that they are making the scenario to spend more time on it. So that's where the difficulty is.
That's where the difficulty is. Okay. Anyone else has any question that they would like to share with them? Wasim, how you used to do RCA? How you used to do RCA?
Exactly. No, that's a very important question. To be honest, in the beginning, like that was like 2 months ago when we initially did the RCAs for each topic, I was not doing the RCA proper way. But the proper way of RCA is that everybody should know. You know the answer. Let's suppose D is the correct answer. So you say, okay, this is the right answer and this is the. But you need to put the explanation of all the wrong answers. That's where you would know and would you build your knowledge that what you are not supposed to do. So the RCA in the proper way is the key for passing the exam, and you should do that the right way. Like put the explanation why the option which is wrong, why the reason it's wrong. So
Okay, okay. That's an interesting thing to put in the context. Now, how Avas has coached you through all the session because he was continuously Wasim here, and even yesterday
yeah.
said to me, tomorrow exam is that how he worked you throughout the journey.
Yeah. kudos to Wes, and obviously I should have mentioned his name earlier as well. But he was in contact with me, and obviously sharing the tips and tricks, talking to me. We had a conversation yesterday as well. In fact, one time when my score went down a bit during the mock exams, I mean, he asked me that what's going on, why it's wrong, what's the reason of that decline. So probably, yeah, some things that I was missing. So yeah, he was in touch with me, and that benefited a lot.
100%. Wasim bhai, you did RCA for mocks also? Like the people process those mocks you were doing. Were you doing the RCA of those mocks also?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Like I said, I mean, I picked up that RCA habit later in my preparation, because initially I struggled with that, or probably I didn't put more focus on that one when I was doing the individual topics, right? During the training, for example, when probably you can even see my RCS shared in the group, they're not that elaborate. I mean, but the proper way is, like I said, I mean, you should analyze the scenario and put your own comments, put your own thoughts, why the statement which is wrong, why it's wrong. So that's a good way of doing an RCA.
But that's a good way to do RCA. Okay. Okay. So Naveed is asking if you are about to, Naveed, you do a lot of what if. You need to let go of it for 1.5 months. If you are about to take the exam now, first time, what would you have done differently?
Sorry, I didn't get that question. Sorry.
So he's saying that, okay, what is done. But let's say today is your day one. You are going to prepare now. How you are going to
Okay.
prepare, and then you have an exam. When you are going to give the exam, what things you would do differently?
Um, Two things. One, the RCA, because to be honest, the agile mindset and the servant leader mentality, you can adopt that for sure. But the RCA would give you the real um, would be the real differentiator in understanding all the topics, and time management. Probably these are the two things that the time management I actually didn't manage properly in the exam, but I eventually did it. But the RCA was something that I feel is the most important thing. And obviously, all the mind maps is that was helping as well. But the RCA I would do differently. If I am going to prepare the exam, I would do it differently from the get go. I would do it for individual topics. Uh, I would do it more thoroughly.
You will do more thoroughly. So doing the RCA sites up is critical. So let's do the RCA more and more for everybody. Thank you very much for sharing this amazing journey. Loved working with you. Do send me your thumbnail, a picture. I will put this journey probably tomorrow. And thank you very much, Wasim. If anyone has any other thing, please do ask. This is the time. Now comes the most important thing. Wasim, two things. You know how important PMP marathon was. So please,
Yeah, yeah,
you have tomorrow also. It's just 2:30 for you also. So please see if you can make some questions and share with us. We will be using in the next PMP marathon. Secondly, I'm 100% sure some of them will be reaching you out for guidance, etc. You see, when I say something, Trimji say something, Avas, Laiba, Anushpa, that is one thing. But when you say the same thing, like I am saying RCA from day one, you guys don't listen. But when somebody who just cleared, who is in your shoes, they say you listen. That's a normal thing, right? So whenever they reach out, please try to give your, because each one teach one is the mantra of this. Thank you,
yeah.
Wasim. Thank you very much.